Are you hosting?
I thought it was. Well, we're live anyway. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the LFC Transfer Room. This is the Star Stripes Anfield Nights, Tuesday night, 9 o'clock every single week. I am glad to be hosting tonight with our good friends here. I've got Drew, I've got Colin, I've got Paul. It's the Dream Team, the ABC. I don't give an F team. We are ready to bring you all the best news, transfer news, game updates, whatever we got going on in the LFC world. I'm going to start basically. How's it work? Clockwise? I think that's how that works. Drew, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Got a little under the weather today, but I'm hoping a good night's sleep will boost me off, and definitely just hoping for another win. However we get it, we got it against Burnley. Let's just keep churning out the wins.
Beautiful, beautiful. Colin, back after a week hiatus. You missed my Pittsburgh Riverhounds hoodie last week, by the way.
No.
I wore that for you specifically, mostly just to make sure you're feeling better, because that's why I wore it.
Well, thank you. I certainly appreciate it. Yeah, I love getting a nice little USL game is always always on the cards. I love getting down there for games, but feeling a little better. Happy to be back. Again, always the highlight of my week. So I'm thrilled to
Perfect.
be here.
All right. And last but certainly not least, our Canadian friend from up north. Man who comes, he's on the streams all the time, always giving the great takes, usually asking the great questions also in the comments. I've got Paul. How we doing tonight, Paul?
I'm doing very well, man. Never get tired of talking about my favorite team. So nothing better than to sit and to talk and to wait for that beautiful 3 points that we will get on Sunday.
Yeah. And then quick question, Paul. What's the weather like there? I know usually you're always talking like negative.
It's what is it right now? It's -7 right now, but that is Celsius. So what's that in Fahrenheit? I don't know what.
This is the American show. We
It's,
have no idea what Celsius means.
yeah, -7. So probably 40s in your in Celsius in Fahrenheit.
Let's see. I think Drew's getting an answer there.
But -7 is a decent day. -7 is almost shorts and t-shirt for us.
Oh, well, if you're new to the stream, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, share it, tell your friends, tell your enemy. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies about it. Make sure you spread this channel as far and wide as possible. Tonight we've got a few different topics. I'm not going to waste any time. The big news, or not so much news. It's kind of been slower. I was trying to find stuff all afternoon to add to the stream, and it was really hard and difficult. The big thing was Pedro Neto has been kind of the player linked the most with Liverpool over the past few days. Right winger from Wolves. No, J Muse, nobody pays me anything. I work for free on absolutely everything. Pedro Neto has been the top player who's been linked over the past few days. Right winger from Wolves. So hopefully, I guess we'll go basically start off with Drew. What is your thoughts overall with Pedro Neto as a player? Do you like his skill set? Is he somebody that fits the Liverpool profile? What's your overall thoughts there?
I definitely like his style. I don't think he's nearly as fast as a Mohamed Salah obviously, but he has good output. And I remember in particular the game he played against us. If it's the odd Wolves game when they're playing a top team, that'll happen to turn on. But I was really impressed with his performance when he played us earlier in the season. Absolutely lit it up, and definitely has a lot of talent and technique that I respect. I am a little worried because it does seem like he picks up injuries, and I'm always a little hesitant to go all in on a player who has a pretty big track record of injuries. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it does seem like he picks up some injuries year on year. But yeah, so as far as his player goes, I'm very impressed with him as a player. He's young, he has great output, and as we're seeing with Salah out of the squad, the other players are stepping up and getting the job done. So I think it'll be less of finding someone who can replace Salah's output more so than rising like the tide of everyone's boat for Liverpool post Salah.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of like you. Every time I've seen him, I've liked him, but you're right there on the injury front. I don't think he's played 20 games all competitions over the last 3 years. He even had a bad hamstring injury this year where he missed I think 6-8 weeks, right in that range. Colin, what is your thoughts here about Pedro Neto? And is he style that you would think fits the Mo Salah replacement, or is he more of a complementary piece?
I don't think that there are enough really high quality left-footed right wingers to consider really anybody else in Salah's category. So I think trying to replace him like for like is folly. Like I just don't think that there is any practical value in trying to find a like for like. But to Drew's point, which is incredibly well made, it's like you should just be finding the best player to complement what what the new manager is going to want, or what the what the sporting director is really going to try to kind of create in terms of this, whatever the next phase of the team is. So whomever that is, if it is Pedro Neto, I'd be happy with him. Although the injury history is a concern, if you just are looking at his, his technical ability, his production, he is someone who I think would be worth having. Also, I'm open to alternatives as well. I don't think that there's anybody that is replacement wise is the only person I would want for that new position.
Mm-hmm. And then Paul. Pedro Neto has been injured the past few years. We've seen somebody like Thiago who had an injury history before he gets to Liverpool, and it's very start and stop career with us. Is 50, 60 million, which has kind of been what's been quoted about, is that too much to pay for a player who has this type of injury history when Liverpool is a team that kind of does like to pinch the pennies a little bit and find the best deal possible, not just splurge as much money as possible?
It scares me a lot. That injury record of his scares me a lot. And 50, 60 million for a player who has that injury record, for me, it's a bit much. I think Mo Salah will commit another year or two to us. And if that is the case, I don't see the point in spending 60 million on a player with that injury record who probably won't play much if Salah is around. So I don't see how that makes much sense. In terms of a talent, from what I've seen of him, he's a very good player. He certainly, if you put the injuries aside though, he certainly will not replace the goals that we get from Salah. He's more of an assist king rather than a goals machine, which is fine, because if we have the guys in the middle to finish it, that's okay. But for the price, for the injury record, and the fact that we expect Salah to be here for another year or two, I think we should look elsewhere.
I think fair point there, Paul. I'll kind of open up to all three of you guys. With Pedro Neto, he's going to be 24 in the summer, and then he's also is a versatile player. And then with obviously the impending change of the manager, we're not 100% sure, obviously, who's coming in to manage the team, what style they'll want to play. Is his versatility something that's still very much beneficial to, say, if Xabi Alonso, who's been obviously the most touted manager prospect, he comes in to take the job? Is this the type of signing you would want, or do you, because he seems to play with more 10s than actual wingers, is this a good signing with a Neto deal, or is it something that's like he'd be something that's his best position is right wing? Is it something that doesn't fit with maybe a Xabi Alonso? Whoever wants
so let me go first. There's a lot of talk about the style that Xavi plays, which is I think he plays 3 at the back, something like 3-4-3 or that kind of shape. I don't think he will start his career at Liverpool in that shape, because the makeup of our team as it's presently constructed right now, I don't think that formation would be best. And he's a smart guy. He's a former player, was a very good player, and he's obviously doing very well as a manager. So I don't think he's one of those guys that have a particular style. I think he'll be flexible based on the talent and the makeup of the team that he's coaching. So, but having said all of that, um, if you can get Pedro Neto and know for sure that he will be available, he won't be injured. There is a space we can find a place in the team for him to be productive. Because even if what it does is that if we need to make a change in shape, we can always find a spot where he can function. Because even if you should go to say a 4-2-3-1, if we don't have Salah, he could function in that position quite well because, as I said earlier, he's not a goal machine, but he provides so much balls in the 6 yard box to the number nine that he could be very productive in a shape like that. So my concern as it relates to Pedro Neto is just his price and his injury record. But he's a player that we could find use for. I think if he comes and stays fit, he would contribute. But just that if Salah is going to stay, I don't see the point in spending that kind of money right now. Unless Salah goes, then it's a different ball game.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. Like the injury history, like just the last 3 seasons, I think he's played 18 games this year, 19 games last year, 13 games the year before. That's all competitions. And this year he's got 13 goals, assists combined. Last year was a 1, and the year before that was 2. Obviously, injuries playing a big part of the production there, and also Wolves kind of being an odd transition team the past couple years, being a much better team this year. Kind of, I guess, the same for like Drew and Colin here about the money. If like there's been quotes of Bakayoko, who's younger, probably a little bit more upside, who's being quoted at like 35 million. Would it make any sense to even pursue a Pedro Neto if Bakayoko is sitting there cheaper and, in my mind, probably has a higher ceiling?
I would think that probably would be the route that I would want us to go. Although I think you can, make a case because of his younger age and lack of Premier League experience that you are taking a bigger risk just in terms of not necessarily knowing how they're going to pan out in a different league with different and higher expectations. I don't think that would concern me so much, but I can definitely see other people making that argument. Yeah, I thought Paul made an interesting point that got me thinking about whether or not we are, I guess maybe I'm wondering if we are to keep Mo Salah, that I wonder if that makes us more rigid in formation and less flexible or adaptable to if the new manager wants to play a different style, that kind of makes it a bit more difficult for the new manager, and if that wouldn't come into consideration when thinking about his future as well. Most expensive player on the team, least flexible in terms of positionally. Like he's not, if we were to get Xabi and say he wants to play, the 3-2-2-3, like Mo's not going to play wing back. And that's really the only players in those teams that give like the extreme width. So I think that it's interesting. I wonder if none of this can kind of be decided until they decide whether or not Mo is going to stay or going to go.
Fair point. Drew, you got any last thoughts here on Pedro Neto? Is he your dreamboat? Is he, or is he, let's see, I mentioned Bakayoko. Is there somebody else on your mind that like stands out higher than you than Pedro Neto?
I don't honestly look for transfers until summer comes along. Once the season starts, I'm kind of like, oh, I'll see a rumor here and there, but I don't give it much credence or go deep diving into it until the window opens up. and especially since this transition period's happening, like, I don't like it I'm guessing or assuming that, let's say we do hire Xabi Alonso or any manager after that, I'm sure they'd most likely wanna come in and take stock of our players and see what fits for them and how they wanna move forward first, unless it's, like, bringing, like, a let's say, Xabi, Florian Wirtz over with him, like, knowing what he wants already. But as far as, like, cherry picking someone else from another team, especially if it's not a league that he's I don't know how many Premier League games Xabi Alonso's watching or how many Wolves games he's watching for Neto, like, again, assuming that Xabi Alonso is the next manager. I think that at this point, we have a very solid squad, especially with, players that have fallen out of favor with Klopp. Let's say, Carvalho for one, like, where will he, feature in the team moving forward? I'm sure he's looking forward to that opportunity. So I'd be curious to see who gets picked to carry the team moving forward under the new manager. Like, I'm sure that manager will take time in the first part of, the training in the summer to see what he wants to do going forward before making any decisions like transfers. But Pedro Neto, for me, price and injury record, that's a worry, but I do respect and admire him for what his output has been and the type of player he is. But I wouldn't pull the trigger on him any point soon.
Yeah. Which Philip Bidwell in the comments puts out there. It's like, with Neto's injury history, I wouldn't sign him for 20 million, let alone 50 million. I kind of agree with that, but the problem obviously is that with the modern transfer numbers, like 50 million is kind of like 20 million 4 or 5 years ago, and that's an odd world to live in, but that kind of is. I do like Neto's game a lot. But I'm more with you guys. I think there's better options, and also I think kind of what Drew's saying there, that I can't put really much any stock into any transfer rumors going on right now until we have a sporting director and a manager in place. Because obviously, in some weird evil world, our next manager, Sam Allardyce, what's he going to do with Pedro Neto? He's not going to do much of anything. So, or we bring back Roy Hodgson and Paul Konchesky puts the boots back on. Like, it'll be a disaster zone. But yeah, I don't think 20 million, or I don't think Pedro Neto's ultimately the answer with the injury history. I do like the kind of apologies here, the shithousery of his game. I think he scored that goal that got ruled out for offside against us, I think the year we won the title. And the way he was celebrating, like, he just was like winding up the entire crowd, like running around in a circle, like he just like won the World Cup. And I don't know, like a player you hate to play against, but absolutely love when he's on your team, kind of like Diego Jota, like, calling out Leicester fans with the big F off after he scored the winning penalty. Like, it would be kind of fun to have both of them starting up top and just probably getting a red out of defender just for annoying the crap out of them all game. But yeah, I mean, I like Neto. Like you guys are saying, the price quoted plus the injury history just is too much of a gamble, especially since we've been burned with the Thiago stuff especially the past year. But another topic we're going to move on to. Make sure if you're in the comments, just leave questions. Charlie Williams leaving us I didn't even know we can do super chats or whatever these things are called. So that's interesting. So thank you, Charlie. Salah will leave next season after we win the quad this season. I mean, what a way to go out. That'd be a beautiful thing to do, to go out on top. I do think he wants another run at the Champions League. I think that's ultimately what his goal is. So I don't think it's happening this summer. I think he wants another run at the Champions League.
If that was a hypothetical,
would you take that trade?
Yes, Paul. That was going to be my question. The answer is yes. Yeah.
Me too.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's going to pay my salary. You don't even want to know what my salary is, J Muse. Anyways, we'll move on to the next topic. It is the man that we have been talking about, Mo Salah. He's back in training, back at it. I don't know if anybody else saw the pictures on Instagram of the boys showing up to training today. Almost all of them in sweats or gym clothes, and then Wataru Endo showing up in a leather jacket like a complete badass. It's a pretty good picture of him just kind of walking in just in a leather jacket. It was, especially compared to everybody else's outfits, it was, I don't know, it just made my day. But we're going to talk about Mo Salah, who is back from injury, back from AFCON. Not a successful one for Egypt, but, congratulations to Ivory Coast, I guess. I didn't get to watch the game, but, obviously, congratulations to them to winning on it. with the way that the front three has been playing lately, and I'll start with Paul here first. With the way the front three has been playing lately, Darwin kind of, causing havoc, Jota finding goals every single game, even Diaz chipping in when he needs to. Is Mo walking directly back into a starting lineup, or do we currently have the luxury with Brentford at the weekend and Luton midweek to kind of ease Mo back into the game before the final against Chelsea in a couple weeks?
If Mo is ready, if he's fit and 100%, he absolutely should start. The thing we need to remember is 3 points against any team is 3 points. So Brentford away is a tricky game. This is one of the games that I am a little bit worried about. So we should play our best available 11. Even if we believe that Mo does not have 90 minutes in him, I would prefer him to give us the first 50, 60 minutes and then take a break than to have him on the bench and to try and say we're going to bring him on later. So Mo is still our best player. And sometimes, when a player like that is away for a little bit and the team, have some success, it's easy for us to forget how important a player he is. Because Mo being in the team is a lot more than the goals that he scores. It's the way he attracts the attention from the opposing defenders that creates more opportunities for the other guys, especially the midfielders running into the box. So Mo doesn't have to score to have a big impression on the game. So the only reason we should not start Mo is if he's not fit. But from what we have been seeing the last couple of days, he looks fit, he looks ready to go. Let's hope that the little time off, kind of recharge his battery and he's ready to go for the rest of the season. Because if we're going to challenge Man City for this title, we need more. When we know he was going to be away, we said, okay, if we can survive the next 4 or 5 games until he comes back, we would be good. And we did that even though we lost to Arsenal. So we don't need to push it. If Mo is ready, he should start.
I do agree with you, Paul. I'm not sure if I'd start both games, but I think Mo has that thing that all great players kind of has where he wants to play every single second of every game or he gets very irritated. So I would be all for starting him this weekend and then maybe giving him a sub appearance or, 60 minutes at the max against Luton at the weekend or at midweek, depending on obviously how the game would go. And then, get him going out to the for the final against Chelsea. Colin, is that a good thing to have a player that gets that irritated when they don't play, like as Mo can get sometimes, like whenever he gets subbed off and he seems very irritated, or is that something that we're with, or is it? I guess I'm trying to say, is it worth kind of disrupting a good form for the team for one player, even though he's as great as Mo Salah is, or is it better to kind of still easing back into the team and say, I'm the manager, or the team's playing really well, don't want to disrupt that right now. It is Brentford. It is Luton. No disrespect to those teams. We'll get to Brentford here in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But, it's like, we do have a big game coming up in a couple weeks. You're coming back from, an injury. Let's ease back into this.
So I see it as like two kind of separate things. Mo should be eased back in because that is the best thing for his long-term health. That's why he should be eased back in. It is not good to have a full team full of people who are like that. And especially who are, I would say, if they are not, big time performers, you can't have people who complain that much and also don't perform. However, I think every truly great team needs at least one player who is absolutely, impossible to deal with when when taken off, because like Mo believes, he believes totally that he is at any point able to change the fortunes of the team and to absolutely make all the difference in the game. Whether or not he's had a good game, like I don't think he differentiates. Like he believes that he is the best player on the field and that he can change the game at any point, which leads to him being angry when he's taken off. So I like having at least one person who is like that. Sometimes you need the person who knows that they're that great. But if it was a team full of people who were um, throwing fits every time that they were going to be subbed off, like that's not ideal to have. But I like it that Mo has that attitude. I think it's important.
It's not Travis Kelce.
He's not, but also Travis Kelce, easily first ballot Hall of Fame tight, easily first ballot Hall of Fame tight end. So
yeah, the best always want to be on the field when the big plays are being made.
They do, yeah.
All right, Drew. The question for you is like with the front three kind of playing the way they are. Where does Salah fit in? Is it taking off Jota? Is it taking off Diaz? I think right now Nunez has to be playing. I think it would obviously be Diaz personally, but I feel like Jota's been so kind of successful coming off the right and kind of interchanging with Nunez over the past few weeks that it's a different dynamic. I think I know when Rigo's on, he talks about how he feels sometimes when Jota's on the left that him and Nunez end up kind of in the same spot and kind of compact. Do you think that's the issue, or who do you replace in the front three currently with Salah back in the team?
Ooh, unpopular opinion, but I would take Nunez out. That's me. I always think I know it's unpopular opinion, but I think that he is chaos. He is chaos on the pitch, and bringing him on, absolutely, when defenders' legs are tired, he can change a game. The Newcastle game towards the beginning of the season when he came on and bagged 2 goals, I think his best thing, our best starting 11 with him coming on to cause that kind of havoc for me personally is great because I still don't think he's hit his feet. I don't think he's hit the ground running. I think being able to kind of just let him go for like 20 minutes at the end of the game, 30 minutes at the end of the game and get goals that way, just go all out, that would build his confidence up. I honestly don't think that his confidence is quite there yet. And Diaz, Jota, and a fully fit Salah for me is the best starting 11. I know it's unpopular, but that's what I think.
Fair enough. I mean, you got to stand by your words sometimes. It's the American show. Big opinions, even when they're wrong. What do you think, Colin? Is that who you're taking off? Are you taking Nunez off, or who are you taking off to get Salah back on?
No, I'm not. I'm not taking Nunez off. I've been on this train for a while. I think it's important that Nunez. I think it's important that Nunez starts in order to tire the legs of the defenders by the 65th, 70th minute, which is when I think Diogo Jota is the most influential. I might like Diogo Jota the best out of our forwards. I just think his pragmatism about scoring the goals is if you're talking about things that you need in a team, you need someone who is doesn't care what kind of goals they're scoring, is just going to pop up and score them. And I think those goals that he gets are easiest to come by, and defenders are kind of weakest after they've been run at, for 70 minutes. And thinking about facing a front three of Diaz, Nunez, and Salah for, the first 70, and then to bring on Jota, who, if you give him one single chance, it's 90% he's putting that in. And he's going to get a chance. So that's the way that I see it. Although, I'm not mad if Diaz is not the one who starts either.
And what about you, Paul? Who are we taking off to bring Salah back into the game?
I see Diego Jota and Harvey Elliott as our two impact sub from the bench. Um, Darwin has to start for me in if he's healthy, especially in the big games. Darwin, yes, he has missed quite a few goals, but even withstanding that, if you look at his goal contributions, it's still very healthy. And even some of those misses, yes, they are misses and he hits the post a lot. But a lot of those aren't really bad shots, it's just incredibly bad luck. And I think his luck must change. The law of average suggests that he's not going to have another game in his life where he hits the post 4 times and don't score. So I think our best front three is Diaz, Salah, and Darwin. I just wish though that Lucho would go wide more more often with the ball. Bring the left back out to him to create a little bit more space. I don't like when he comes in too much and make it too compact, especially when the ball is on the other side. But I think our best front three is with Jota and on the bench. So I would start Darwin and Lucho.
Fair enough. I'm kind of in that. I would go Yoda, Darwin, and Salah as my starting top three. I like the combination of Nunez and Yoda because like Nunez is just chaos, taking shots from anywhere, and Diogo is just so good at just being on, having his head on at all times. Like I even in the Chelsea game, Curtis had a shot that got saved by Petrovic, and how quickly like Diogo like kind of reacted to the save and was like going to the ball. Obviously, he didn't get a chance out of it because it was ended up being a good save. But it's just how quickly he reacts. He just reacts so much quickly than anybody else around him. That I think having those two together and just Nunez taking pop shots and Jota there to take in rebounds or just be in the right place at the right time that he knows how to do. I think Lucho. I like Lucho a lot, but I think a lot of us have kind of seen that there's been something off with him most of the year. Like that pass he didn't play to Darwin over the weekend was just unbelievably inexcusable when it was just Darwin's just in, and it's just everybody in the crowd, everybody at home saw it, and he just didn't see it himself, which was frustrating. It just feels like he's just missing that one little tick that takes it, a solid game to a great game, and I feel that's where Diaz is kind of at the moment. But hopefully we got games coming up there he's gonna contribute in because we've got to believe in the boys.
One more thing I want to say before we move on quickly, Brandon.
Yeah.
The fact that we having this discussion, again, that just goes to show the depth of the squad.
Mm-hmm.
If you look back to when the team was flying in 2019, 2020, we did not need to have a predicted 11 because everybody knew the 11. We know the front three. The midfield was Wijnaldum, Fabinho, and Hendo. We know the back four. And even though that was an excellent 11, but one or two people coming off the bench and there was a noticeable drop off. We don't have that now. So I just want to highlight how incredibly balanced and strong our squad is. And that is why I think this is the best job. And I hope Javi Alonso is listening to this stream because you need to come to Liverpool.
And I agree because even more to your point, Paul, we didn't even talk about Cody Gakpo at all. We didn't mention him one time in any of this conversation. And I like Cody a lot. I think his technique is phenomenal. Like he hits the ball so perfectly, and he's tall, and he's handsome, and he's Dutch. And that's all that really matters is that he's Dutch. Before we get moving on, I know Jamie's mentioned in the chat. I was going to bring it up today. I think it was today. It was announced that Sven-Göran Eriksson will manage Liverpool at Anfield for the Legends game. I'm very happy about that. It's I can't remember who was on with me when we talked about this, but it was one of those where it makes sense. It's the club doing the right thing, like where there's no downside. There's no reason not to do this, but sometimes we see it where people don't do the right thing for no reason. So it's good that they're doing something that is very good for somebody, especially obviously with his illness. Hopefully I don't think I believe it's terminal, isn't it? If anybody can confirm that for me. Yeah, but so
I believe so.
all the best to Sven, and hopefully that's an entertaining game. And he gets to live his dream like a lot of us want to do. He gets to do it, and that makes me happy. Oh, so we are about half hour into the stream. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you like the channel. Subscribe to it. We do this Star Stripes Anfield Nights stream every single Tuesday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the only real time in the world. And then we also have streams every single day going on the channel. So make sure you're supporting all the content that LFC Transfer Room has given you. Charlie, you are my hero, my friend. I'm going to be pocketing so much. I'm going to be going to the casino this weekend. If I actually could get a day off of work, I'd be spending all your money very unwisely. So that's why they don't give it to me. But yeah, thank you so much for all the chats. And like I said, get your questions in. If we have time at the end, we'll go through, answer as many as we can. We have a great time here. So yeah, thank you for all the support out there. The next thing we got is that we do have a big game coming up this weekend. I got a little trivia question, I guess, here for you guys that I thought was very funny. When was the last time Liverpool beat Brentford in the league at Brentford? What year? In the league.
Well, I know we haven't beaten them since they got promoted this last time because we lost and we drew the last 2 years at Brentford.
Mm.
So now you're asking me to tell you when Brentford was last in the Premier League prior to this period.
Right.
That I don't remember. It's been
1952.
a while. It's been a while.
You say 1952, Drew?
That's my
You're way
absolute guess.
way too optimistic. March 19th, 1938 was the last time Liverpool beat Brentford at Brentford in the league. We do even win like the League Cup in the 80s at Brentford. But yeah, as Paul was saying, we have yet to beat Brentford since they came back up away from home. That's one draw, one loss. Is this a massive banana peel game for us? Or is this kind of us just reading way too much into two results over 2 seasons? Like Brentford, we know can do a job. Ivan Toney is back. I think they've won 2 games, drawn 2 games since he's came back. Or is that right? Or 1-2, lost 2, I think, if I'm thinking correctly. They beat Wolves and they beat Forest, and then lost to Spurs and lost to City, if I think right. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me there. But is this a massive banana peel game for us? I'll start with you, Colin.
I think that this game is so difficult that it goes past being a banana peel game and is just a really difficult game. Like, I don't think it's a surprise or shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that this is going to be a real challenge. I definitely see, the banana peel games more as like, oh, you didn't know that they were coming or they were a surprise. That would be like going to Bournemouth. I think like, a team who's going to play compact defensively, but has a good idea about how to beat you, but you just didn't think about it. But like the way that this team's been playing, like I don't think that this is. Yeah, I don't think that this is a surprise. This team is good. They're well coached. I said to someone in the group chat when they were playing City, like that they've got to be the least fun team to play. They look, they're like big and physical. They're like, just gonna cause you a lot of defensive problems. They're gonna take extra time on throw-ins, and they're a team of pros who know how to get the job that they want to do done. It will take a really good performance to get 3 points.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. Going over kind of some of the things before they shut out Wolves, I think they had 4 or 5 straight games where they gave up 2 or more goals. Though defensively they're not the worst, but there's like looking over the Premier League table, there is like 12 or 13 teams that are within like 39 goals conceded and 43. So it's like one bad game can make you one of the worst defensive teams in the league real quick. 25 points on the year, 14th in the league currently, 35 scored, 39 against. Yeah, like I said, completed 2 or more in 4 straight games. Drew, kind of same question as Colin. Are you that worried about Brentford, or is this a game that you feel like at our best we really should be kind of easing through this, or just kind of we as fans shouldn't be as worried about it?
I agree with what Colin said about we shouldn't think of Brentford as a banana peel because they're not. They're a team that beats big teams. Like we've seen it since they came into the Premier League. I believe their first game was against Arsenal and they beat them opening day of the season. We know they've beaten Manchester City. They've beaten us. Like this isn't a game that could surprise us, like Colin said, like a Bournemouth away or Crystal Palace for Manchester City. I think that's more an apt banana peel. But that being said, the fact that we know what Brentford can do, combined with what you're saying on they've conceded a lot of goals this season, that makes me think that it will be. I'm more confident in this game than another game that could be a potential banana peel. I think we'll be taking this game very seriously, and I think Brentford's defense is there to be gotten at. Brentford away is definitely a tough ask, and as you said, we haven't beat them since 1938, but in the league. But I do think that we have enough in our locker in terms of players available, options from the bench to get the job done. So, and we beat them very handily earlier in this year. I think what was it, 2-0, 3-0 at home,
3-0, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that's going to be exactly what happens at the weekend, but I'm more confident going into it, knowing that we'll take this game seriously and that their defense can leak goals.
All right. Okay, Paul, with you, I had a question, and then for some reason it completely just slipped out of my mind for this. Oh, it's basically, when we beat Brentford earlier in the season, no Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney obviously is one of the better strikers in the league, scores goals, would be a great get for almost any team in the top 6. I think it'd be somebody that he performs anywhere. Can he make that big a difference, or is it something that you feel you're confident, like with whoever we put at the back, dealing with Ivan Toney, even if he's moving the ball on free kicks or whatever they're going to complain about him this week about? Is he that big of a change for us, or is it, just more, I'm confident in the defense that we've got?
Well, I'm sure he will be a part of the planning that our team is discussing right now, because he can be a big factor in the game. He's the kind of guy that you want to keep the ball away from, because if you give him chance, he will score. And not only is he back, he is motivated. One, he has admitted that he's a Liverpool supporter, so he's probably extra motivated to show us why we should sign him, or at the very least, show the other teams, Arsenal or whoever is interested, why they should come get him. And don't forget too that his partner, what's his name, Johan Wissa, is just got back from the AFCON. So they are going to be potent up front. And I was watching an interview this morning with Thomas Frank on Sky, and they asked him about rumors of him coaching Liverpool, and he was very diplomatic and kind of brushed it off, but you could see that in his eyes that he would love that opportunity. So this would be a great opportunity for him to show us what he's made of. So all of those factors are reasons why I'm a little bit nervous about this game. In terms of talent, we should absolutely beat them. But we all know that sports is more than just who has the most talent. So, I probably would, I'm not sure if I would say take a draw right now if you offered me one, but I am a little bit nervous about this game, especially with City looking like they're not going to lose anytime soon. But, let's hope the performance prove all of us wrong, and we have another 3-0. I think it's an early kickoff game, if my memory serves me right?
Mm-hmm.
And we love those 12:30 games. So, let's go do it.
Yeah, I think that's like the thing I'm most worried about anytime we get a 12:30 kickoff. Like, I think you could pull my old high school team and like put us against Liverpool on a 12:30 kickoff, and we would probably score. And like my high school team would score first somehow, and like start like making saves or just getting miracle things because it's the 12:30 kickoff for Liverpool. I don't know, like with Tony coming back, like obviously great striker. I don't know. I'm trying to be more optimistic about everything. I don't know if I can take a draw because just as Paul kind of said, with the way Man City is, like that puts so much pressure. Like we have to come out and win like big against them whenever they come to Anfield in a couple weeks. And we've seen like where we draw at this time of year and it costs us so much at the end because it's like the last point we drop. It's just because Man City doesn't want to lose the rest of the season. I don't think I could take a draw. I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought again. If somebody can take over real quick because it's blank. Sorry.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's kind of hard to come up with a game plan because I've been thinking, who do we play at the six if both Maka and Endo is available? Which one of the two is stronger? Because Brentford have some big guys, and they might not be the most talented, but they are physical, right? So we also have to guard against giving away silly fouls because they are one of the better teams, with free kicks and corners. So we don't want to give them too much set plays where they can do us damage. So it has to be a team effort. It's one of those games where you want to be up 2-0 within 25 minutes. Maybe that's wishful thinking. But it's one of those games where I think we need to just go and attack them from the first whistle. Try and get up and try and affect their psyche. Because the longer the game continues with a say a 0-0, is the more nervous we are getting because we are worried that if we concede a goal, we might not be able to come back from that. And they are more confident that they just need a goal. So this is one of those games where I think we should just go at it from the first minute and try and get a goal or two in the first 25, 30 minutes. And then we can manage the game going forward. So it's possible that we can come away, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah. And I think what I was going to go into is basically kind of where we're going there, I think, was team selection. It was like, who do you see starting in the midfield, at the back, at the fullbacks with, obviously with Trent still kind of out. Bradley, I think, was training, is back.
Yeah, Bradley's back.
Yeah,
Bradley is available for selection.
Muse is saying he did not see Joe training today. I'm not sure if Gomez is back from illness, not yet.
Yeah, he's back.
He's
back.
Yeah,
he's available.
Well, perfect. And that goes right into me with, if you have the selection there, no Trent, but you have Bradley, you have Robbo, and you have Gomez. Who's your starting fullbacks in this game? Is it Gomez Bradley? Is it Robbo Bradley? Is it Gomez Robbo? What's the? I'll go with Drew. You first here, buddy. Who's starting at fullbacks for you?
Say Bradley and Robbo. Robbo seems to me like he's up for it, and then Bradley at right back. Just because I love Gomez. Even when he wasn't playing well and people wanted him out of the team, I always thought, he's shown what he can do for us, and just needed a run in the side, which he did at left back and did amazing. But my preference for this game would be Robbo and Bradley, just because Gomez coming off of the flu. Like, I can't imagine him being up to pace for a full 90 minutes, full stop, versus Robbo, who's been going through the hurdles of getting back up to speed and, should be fully fit at this point. And Bradley, who, was missing for non-footballing reasons. So that's why I would pick those two and give Gomez maybe, the last 20 minutes or last 10 minutes, whatever it is, to wrap things up.
I'm taking away another chance for Joe to score a goal. Like, I can't believe you're doing that to him, Drew. Colin, who's you got going at fullbacks?
I think it's one of two directions, but both of the directions have Joe Gomez starting. I think with the kind of with Tony and I would still expect Mope to start. He doesn't have any injury designation or anything, does he? I hadn't seen any.
No.
Don't think
Okay.
so.
So you've got obviously one who's the like supreme talent and the other one who is like absolutely thorny and like is going to get under your skin. I think you want some real defensive security. So my initial thought was Gomez at left back and Bradley, but Bradley at right. I wonder if they won't do something like Gomez at right back and Robertson at left back, which gives you the opportunity to play like a very senior, very well seasoned, like people who know how to deal with players like Neil Maupay. If I'm not mistaken as well, I think Rabo and Maupay have had some kind of clashes in the past, so I'm sure that he would relish the opportunity to to go up against him again. I'm sure he always does. I'm kind of leaning more towards a Robertson at left and Gomez at right. And then if you need the offensive firepower, then you can throw Bradley on with 30 minutes left or whatever.
Yeah, my thinking's kind of alongside yours, Colin, of like this kind of very drill team from Brentford, like kind of bringing in, and as like Paul's kind of saying, the size, like getting in a guy like Gomez who can play center back, size, athletic, can get up and down the pitch. That's why I've kind of been leading the same way you are. But Drew does make a great point that coming back from the flu than playing footy is probably one of the tough, like more underrated things to think of when talking about players and coming back from like not so much an injury, but coming back from that type of illness that really takes it out of you is quite a big ask. Paul, what are you thinking? Are you thinking the same thing as Colin or Drew, or are you somewhere else? Are you putting Curtis?
Well, a couple of things. Joe Gomez had played a lot of football this season because he has been filling in everywhere along the back line. And this is a game where we are expected to have the bulk of the possession. I see like 60-65% possession for us. So in that kind of scenario, I would probably go with the offense and have Robbo on the left side and Conor Bradley on the right. We're assuming that Trent is not available because I don't think he will be. Gomez, I would have him on the bench for this one. He will more than likely still get some minutes because if we hit the 60-65 minute mark and we are leading, whether by a goal or two, that is when you probably would need to bring Gomez on the left side and give Robbo a break. But because we expect to have the bulk of the possession and we need to score, I would start with Robbo because he gives us a little bit more going forward than Joe Gomez on that side. So that would be that is how I would go with it with Robbo and Conor Bradley.
All right. Obviously, we don't have to talk about who's in the goal because that's an easy one. But midfield, who's the starting midfield three? I'll go right in the same order. Drew, are you like who's playing alongside Curtis, or is Curtis in this lineup for you, or is Curtis somewhere else? Who's going alongside? I'm personally on it's Endo, Mac, and Curtis kind of starting this game. Is that what you're thinking, or are you thinking maybe something different?
No, 100% agree, Brandon. I think that's with who we have available, fully fit. I think that's the best we can put in the midfield at the moment. So for me, that's one that picks itself.
Perfect. What about you, Colin? You going somewhere else? You gonna be controversial?
Only slightly, and only because I'm not sure. Every time that I feel like I'm really certain about, especially the midfield, I'm like, I know who's going to start today. There's always a curveball, and I'm always like, oh, didn't see that coming. So I'm going to say it's going to be Endo, McAllister on the left, and Harvey on that right side of 8.
All right. I was wondering if somebody was going to make a Harvey shout because obviously he had a fantastic cameo in the second half.
For a lot of the same reason Paul was saying about like possession. Like obviously, I think we're gonna have quite a bit of possession. It would, I think, be nice to have someone who is kind of looking to break defensive lines in there. So I think that'd be, not the worst shot ever. Same thing. Curtis has played a lot, so it'd be okay to rest him slightly.
All right. And what about you, Paul?
You guys know how much I talk about Curtis Jones. Even with everybody available, based on how he's playing from the back end of last year to this year, Curtis Jones is my first name on that team sheet in the midfield. So the fact that we have a couple of guys not available, I can't see a scenario in which Curtis Jones doesn't start. Obviously, it's going to be Endo and Maka because we're short in numbers, available numbers. I have a slight, I'm not sure if it's a concern, but, and I mentioned it on another stream. We all think that Maka's best position is maybe further forward at the 8, but all of his best games for Liverpool since he has been here is in that deeper role at the 6. The couple of times when I've seen him forward, not that he's bad, but to me, he doesn't affect the game as much as I would have expected, being that we expect him to be this creative player in the half space, just sitting behind the two front men. So to me, Maka and Endo doesn't actually work together, just based on what my eyes is telling me, even though my brain is telling me that it should work. But in this game, we don't have a choice because a lot of the guys are not available. But I don't know what you guys think. Is it a situation where I am a lone wolf here, or do you really think that Maka's best position is further forward? Because I'm getting around to the idea that he can be a number 6 for us for the next years, because he's not a traditional number 6 in that he's a destroyer type. He's not Pauline at 6'2", 6'3" that can go into any tackle. But he's a controlling 6 that can make every pass. So I don't know. I like him at the 6. I don't know what you guys think.
See, I'm kind of with you on that, Paul, of like his position at the 6. I do kind of think like currently he would be better playing the 8 consistently. Like if he was playing the 8 all season, we'd probably have seen better. I'm saying better in like a relative term because I think he's been fantastic all year. I think he'd be better off in the team as an 8. But I think kind of the way Klopp's kind of built this team, like the idea of like a pure destroyer number 6, Fabinho style lighthouse, is not what he was looking for. I think he is looking more of like almost redeveloping that 6 role into somebody who can win the ball and then boom, passes out, almost like Stevie G in the Suarez years, but obviously with much more defensive ability at this point in his career than Stevie, who was, kind of in that position because his legs could only do it here and there at that point. So I think that's kind of what Mac's role kind of sits in, is almost like a quarterback type role, like sit back,
like a Douglas Luiz, Luiz,
Yeah.
Small guy but can control the game from that position, from a deeper position.
Yeah.
Not every 6 need to be a 6'4", 6'3" destroyer. And I think, especially in a team like us where we expect to have the bulk of the possession in most of the games in which we play, probably, he and Klopp seems to think that he's very good in that position. And probably that's one of the reasons why we weren't on that Paulina train. So I think that's his best position.
What are you guys thinking, Colin and Drew? Are you on this train with Paul, or do you have anything to argue with him about?
I can jump in. I agree that we've seen the best games of McAllister in the 6 this season. I think that's because Klopp forced him to play the 6 for the first, however many months till Endo was given more time in the team. I think Klopp wasn't expecting Henderson and Fabinho to both leave this year. I think we, our number 6 at the end of last year as well. Like that was kind of up in the air. We were in this big transition period. I think McAllister finally got his feet up and running in that role and played some of his best games there. Then he got his injury. For me, I think he can do it, but what really worries me of him in that position is his lack of pace in a transition. Like I never thought I'd see another player for us that was slower than Thiago, and McAllister is giving him a run in that turtle race. Because when I see like him get isolated and a player go by, and I'm like, oh god, he doesn't have the speed to catch up. But conversely, he has one of the best tackling ratios. So he's an amazing tackler, and he's amazing at his distribution and turning that defense into attack. So from that point of view, for me, I love him in that position, dictating plays and moving forward. But I want to see him not bear the brunt of a full counterattack when he has to run back to goal. Because I honestly think, like, if you have any player with speed going up against him, they can just knock the ball by him and run right by him, and he'll never catch up.
Similarly, I think that, I mean, we certainly have seen his best performances this year come there. I still think, and this plays into as well, like why, to your point, Paul, like why has the Endo and McAllister like not really, like why is their partnership like doesn't seem like it's working? Like they haven't played together all that much. Like there's not really been time, a lot of extended time where they've both been healthy and starting, or like both, at the club. Obviously with like Endo being out for a while, it just like hasn't worked out where they've spent a lot of time, like, McAllister really playing the 8 consistently, and also Endo being consistently the starting 6. Like I just don't think that they've gotten to the point where they've worked together enough for it to look really cohesive. Which is why this is the same reason that I just don't think McAllister has shown his best, is because he hasn't been able to kind of establish himself more consistently at that position. So hopefully now that everybody's back, that we'll be able to get that a bit more often, and that will kind of lead to the results that really are going to benefit us long term. Because I don't think that. I think he's a really good option at 6 if you have to, but I don't think that is where he wants to be, and I don't think that that's using all of his skills the best.
Well, let's hope that Stefan Bajcetic will return next year, like full fitness, because when we signed Endo, I got a distinct impression that Endo was signed to give us a year to allow Stefan to relax, to grow in his body, and to get well. I think that he probably could have played this year, but maybe the team just make a conscious decision to give him the year off. He's a young guy. He's played a lot of football. He's growing. He's very talented. And if we see him as a long-term number 6, I think it makes good sense to sign a guy like Endo, who, 29, 30, 31, who can give you 2-3 years, while Stefan Bajcetic can grow and come into that position. So let's hope that next year we are not here discussing who is the 6. It's Stefan at the 6 with Endo, give him a spell off the bench here or there.
Yeah, and as Jay Muse says here in the chat, Bosch was spotted at the training center today. So I'm kind of with Paul there. I think at this point the club is not even thinking about getting him back to a game at the moment. It's more just handling his development physically. Like we may see a cameo at the end of the year, like last game of the season, 5 minutes left, we're up 4-0 or whatever. You might see Baj get a nice little run out if he's healthy, obviously. I don't think Klopp's like, no, get out there, limp yourself out there with your shin splints or whatever is going on with that young body.
I don't think we see him till preseason next year. I don't think he's. I think they're going to wrap him in bubble wrap and say, get to the point where you can just train and build up again.
I agree. I don't think it's worth the risk at this time, and I don't think we actually need him this year. I don't think he will be the difference between us winning or not winning. So I think the safe thing to do is to give him the year off, let him continue to work, rehab, and grow on his body, get his strength, because he'll have a lot of football ahead of him starting next year.
All right. And I apologize if I missed questions. I don't think I really missed. I don't see that many questions in the chat. So I did have one here that I started. If I missed your question, I do apologize. Before we answer any questions, like we just have the one, make sure, like I said, one more time, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, there's so much content that the channel puts out that, it's, if you want Liverpool content, there's not really many places that won't give you more than what we do here. The question posed by Jay Muse here, since it is the American show, anyone win any money on the Super Bowl? He got the first quarter and a half scores dead on, so good for him. The commercials mostly sucked. I thought I kind of agree that I liked a couple commercials, but not a lot. I lost more than I want to say on the stream, more than the super chats we got tonight. How about that? I lost more money on the Super Bowl than the super chats paid for tonight. Anybody get lucky?
Well, I didn't bet on it, but what sucks for us in Canada here is that we did not get to see those ads. For every commercial break, they decided to show us just the boring Canadian ads. But other than that, it was a great game. But I really missed the ads. That's it.
Yeah, I bet this. Oh, sorry, go.
I was just gonna say I had Chiefs, so I did okay.
Yeah,
I had a parlay going that almost hit with the Chiefs winning. It was just that for some reason George Kittle did not exist in this game at all, and that was like the big one. That was the one I missed. So that only cost me like 5 figures. It's not mean. It didn't cost me. I could have won 5 figures, I should say. I'm not betting $10,000 on nothing.
You didn't have MVS to catch a first touchdown for the Chiefs?
No, I didn't. What about you, Drew? You upgrading anything with the money you won?
No, but it was funny. I was at a Super Bowl party, and this guy was just gambling around, and he was betting on what commercials would come on. And now he'll know my secret. I pulled up on my phone what commercials would be on, and I started betting, and he lost every time.
I remember doing that with a UFC fight that nobody knew was like pre-taped because it was like I can't remember what country it was in. So I just sit there and I cleaned up that night. I'm like, oh, $20 because like a couple big underdogs won. I'm like, oh yeah, I bet this is what happens. And yeah. And I told him afterwards, like, oh, thanks for that free money. This happened like 6 hours ago. I think the only bet I did win was the over/under on T Swift being shown on television. I definitely won I put the over there. I think it was like 5.5, and I got that one. So
was that something that they actually offered in Ohio?
It was. I can't remember which. There's so many services now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find there was this prop bets everywhere. There was I think somebody shared it in the group chat of the guy who bet pretty big money on Kelsey proposing after the game. He got Wembley tickets on the line. So yeah,
Pennsylvania doesn't allow a lot of
those type of props.
A lot of the weird prop bets. Like you can't do the time on the national anthem. You can do the coin toss, but you can't do the time on the national anthem. It'll let you do and weird ones like that. So I only got to do kickoff. The kickoff was a touchback. Yeah. So I got that, but yeah.
Oh. Well, with that, like I said, I don't think I saw any other questions. I'm going to say thank you for everybody as we got ready to sign off. Drew, do you have any more last thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Last one I thought, I'll just throw this out there, was I always thought that Bajcetic could learn under Thiago on the field, but it looks like he'll just be learning from him for rehab, unfortunately. But
All right, Colin, any thoughts from you?
Very few. I'll see everybody here again on next Tuesday.
All right. And Paul, what about yourself?
No final thoughts, just cautiously optimistic for the 3 points. Let's go do it, Reds.
All right. And for the three there, Drew, Colin, Paul, I'm Brandon. This is Star Stripes and Anfield Nights, the American stream here on the LFC Transfer Room, here every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or whatever it's called. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Yeah, keep red, never walk alone. Thank you so much.